everybody, so today I'm gonna present you a special edition on the bilateral relations between Canada and China. In the first time, it is necessary to understand the potential of China. With its 1.3 billion of inhabitants, its 1,000 years of history, and its huge territory, China has been and is still a country of great importance all over the world. However, despite its imposing population and power, it has been facing underdevelopment, famine, and poverty. There were many dead due to starvation. In fact, the Cultural Revolution can be referred to as the decade of disaster. Although China had enjoyed a great agricultural revolution, the rising middle class remained too numerous in comparison to the food production. Therefore, China had no choice but to import wheat from Canada to compensate for the lack of food and to put an end to famine. Apprehending the United States reaction, Canada only recognized the People's Republic of China in 1970. Most historians agree that, due to the first official visit of President Nixon in February 1972, the Canada was in the perfect context to re-establish relationship with China. The Canadian surgeon Norman Bethune also played an important role in the developing relationship between Canada and China. Indeed, Bethune, a thoracic surgeon, is the best-known Canadian in China. Bethune represented the internationalism concept which pleased to the Chinese communists. Indeed, the communists had the dream of spreading communism all around the world. His great involvement in Chinese health management has made him a really important character in Chinese and Canadian history. In 1976, China even gave a statue of Bethune to Montreal. Bethune's proximity with China could not do otherwise than helping to initiate the negotiation between Canada and China in 1970. Although the official restoration of the diplomatic relations with China only happened in the 1970s, Pierre Trudeau and his government shown interest in the Chinese question for a long time before it became official. Moreover, Trudeau himself demonstrated interest in China and made 2 trips to China before his first official visit in 1973. His first trip to China was in 1949. He went to Shanghai exactly when Mao took the power of the PRC. After his trip, Trudeau explained his understanding of Canada's refusal to build a strong relationship with China, which he saw as a powerful and full of potential country. Trudeau's second trip to China was in 1960. When he came back, he wrote, with the collaboration of Jacques Hébert, a book he called Two Innocents in Red China. He wanted through this book to share his experience with the Canadians and to give them an overview of China. Due to his high interest in China, Trudeau even made friends over there. Indeed, Trudeau has been very well welcomed by the Chinese. They even found him a Chinese name, and the Prime Minister, Zhou Enlai, called him, when they were at the banquet, Lao Pengziu, which means old friend. These friendly attentions are exposing the intimate relations and proximity of Pierre Trudeau and the Chinese people. Trudeau's visit to China almost created frenzy in the mass media. Everyone was excited about his arrival. One of the sensible issues that had to be taken into consideration when Canada decided to establish diplomatic relations with the PRC is the question of Taiwan. China wanted Canada to count Taiwan as part of China's PRC. However, Canada, by accepting that condition, would have restrained Taiwan's liberty to express its independence from China and therefore would have created a hostile relationship with the latter. Caught between the choices of one China, two Chinas, or One Taiwan policy, Canada finally decided to recognize the Peking government as the only government of China without necessarily accepting China's territorial claims over areas in which it did not exert jurisdiction. Canada and China also enjoy a great economic partnership. While Canada's main exportation to China are resources, China's main exportation to Canada has shifted from clothing and textiles to technologies and manufactured goods. Today, smartphones, video games, computers, and most of the electronic devices are imported from China. Canada's exportation might be of importance, but its importation is still greater. China has become one of the main sources of Canadian imports. However, this important augmentation of importation, enhanced by the integration of China in the WTO in 1999, compared to the low increase of exportation, creates a shortage. In 2003, imports from China exceeded exports to that country by 13.8 billion. The Canadian relationship with China can also be observed in the academic sphere. Both countries, for years now, have established some programs to favor the learning of Canadian Chinese culture. Moreover, many schools and universities have implemented. In 2012, it grew to more than 84,000 and represents some 32% of the 265,000 international students studying in Canada that year. Since many of the Chinese students have learned either French or English as a second language, they have an easy access to Canadian culture. Laval University, for instance, is one of the multiple universities that offer exchange program with China. There is a Centre Québec-Chine, Groupe d'études recherche Asie contemporaine, and there is also an École des langues of Laval University. Moreover, there are opportunities to travel to China for several months to study in Chinese schools, and they also welcome many Chinese students each year. These exchanges include a bursary effort by the government of Quebec. There are also some Chinese schools in Quebec, such as the Classe Confucius, as well as in the rest of Canada. In fact, there are many small Chinese communities within Canada, such as the Association of Chinese of Quebec. They often have Chinese groceries, restaurants, etc. And they meet for particular Chinese festivities and activities like the Chinese New Year, the Mid-Autumn, and the Chinese Dragon Boat Festival. This active relation between Canada and China in the educational sphere is really a good thing for both countries, especially as the Sino-Canadian relations continue increasing. Indeed, the arrival of foreign students is really helpful to create a diversified society and to acquire new knowledge. It is important for countries to take advantage of all the opportunities that are offered to them. Chinese students in Canada, as well as Canadian students in China, can bring new ideas and expertise to their welcoming country while also bringing cultural diversity.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Olivier Dallaire-Turmel. Je suis étudiant à la maîtrise en histoire à l'Université Laval. Je fais ma maîtrise sur les relations Canada-Chine. L'année dernière, en 2014, j'ai fait un stage à Changsha, en Chine, dans la province du Hunan. Tous les matins, on faisait des cours de chinois. J'ai grandement apprécié mon stage parce que j'ai pu tisser des liens avec les gens de la localité où je résidais. Et je crois que c'est une des choses les plus importantes dans l'étude de la Chine, dans mon cas. C'est un petit peu pourquoi j'ai choisi d'étudier Trudeau et la Chine. Parce que pour moi, de retracer la relation d'une personne avec une culture, c'est ce que je trouve très important. Et c'est comme ça qu'on peut réussir à rapprocher deux pays très différents ultimement. Et c'est dans ce sens-là, je crois qu'il faut continuer le travail.
Hi， 大家好，我叫丁凤，我来自中国。 我现在目前在拉瓦尔大学念博士，我的专业是历史。在我来加拿大之前，我已经在国内学了7年的法语。我毕业于北京外国语大学。在我的学校有一个魁北克文化研究中心，也是通过这个魁北克文化研究中心，我开始了解到魁北克这个地方的风土人情以及历史文化，然后使我深深的爱上了这个地方。这也是为什么我选择来到魁北克读书，而不是跟其他人一样选择去法国念博士。当我来到这里以后，我发觉这里是一个很美丽的地方，人们都很热情，然后风景也很美丽。去年我在拉瓦尔大学给这边学中文的学生做过一些中国文化的活动，然后我给他们都非常喜欢中国文化，然后我给他们介绍中国文化，然后教他们一些中国的常识，然后礼仪等等。我觉得这是一次非常有意义的体验。
Finally, we can conclude that Trudeau was one of the great leaders who participated and initiated the relations with China. Moreover, we saw that there are multiple benefits derived from the Sino-Canadian relations in the economic, cultural, diplomatic, and academic sphere of the society. We hope you enjoyed the special edition on the Sino-Canadian relations, and we'll say you goodbye on a special nod to Pierre-Elliott Trudeau.
My dear friends, Da Jia Hao. I would like to offer my warmest wishes for everyone here in Canada celebrating Chinese New Year. This is the year of the snake, one that bodes well for prosperity and for the efforts all of us make to build a better future for our friends and loved ones. The festivities give us a chance to take part in the kinds of celebrations that allow us to appreciate how deeply Chinese culture and its traditions are woven into the fabric of Canada, and how profoundly generation after generation of Chinese Canadians have contributed to the Canada we have become. In virtually every field of endeavor, the signal achievements of Chinese Canadians have inspired us all to reach higher and to cultivate a generous, inclusive vision for success and prosperity fundamental to the Canada we want our children to inherit. May the year of the snake bring peace, prosperity, and great happiness to you and your family. 新年快乐，恭喜发财。